video, I'll be sharing with you how to cut this stylish monostrap asymmetric bustier blouse. And this dress is from Signature. If this is something you like, please don't forget to follow me on my YouTube channel at Draft with Maki. And to also join our 3 days bustier class where we'll be teaching you different types of bustier and different type of dart manipulation for your bustier. This class is just going for 1,500 naira only. So now here is my pattern, and I've gone ahead to mark out the basic measurements that I need for this pattern. So I've marked my shoulder to bust, under bust, waistline, and the blouse length. So for the blouse length, you can go ahead to take your measurement, or you can use 5 inches after your waistline. So after I'm done marking this, right, I'm going to go ahead to mark my shoulder divided by 2. My shoulder is 7 inches divided by 2, and I added ½ inch. From that point, I came down by 1 inch and I marked. This will serve as the shoulder slant for this pattern. I'll go ahead to place my ruler and I'll draw out my shoulder slant. The next step I'm going to take is to find my chest line, which is your bust circumference divided by 6 plus 1.5 inches, and I will connect. After this, I'll go ahead to mark the shoulder divided by 2 plus half, and I'm marking this because this dress has a sleeve on it. You're going to attach a sleeve on one side. Now you're going to connect that straight line and you're going to fold this into 2. Come out by ½ inch here, and on your chest line you're going to mark your bust circumference divided by 4. Now connect from that point to the ½ inch you have, and you're going to extend it all the way up. After you're done marking that, go ahead to use your marker to connect. After you're done connecting at this point, the next step I'll take is to go ahead to mark my dart. And to mark your dart, you're going to mark your nipple to nipple divided by 2. My nipple to nipple is 7 inches divided by 2. I have 3.5 inches, which I'll take this to the lower part of this pattern. And after I'm done marking, I'll go ahead to mark my basic dart intake of 1 inch on both sides. Now, if you're a plus size or you're a bit busty, you should consider using 1.5 inches at this side of your pattern. And after this, I'll go ahead to place my ruler and I'll connect, drawing out a straight line. After I'm done drawing out this line, the next step I'll take is to connect from the bust down to the under bust. After connecting on this part, I'll go ahead to connect on the other side of my pattern. Now this is what I have, and I'll go in by my neckline of 3 inches. This will serve as a guide, and I'll also mark 3 inches here. So I'll also readjust this neckline because one side of the neckline seems to be more tight on the neckline. So I'll go ahead to divide my shoulder into two. That is the remaining part of the shoulder, and I'll connect. Now the next step I'm going to take is to mark my dart. I'll be using a shoulder dart for this pattern, which I'll go ahead to connect, and also connect at this side of my pattern very well. So after I'm done marking this, I'll just go ahead and use my marker to outline. So since this sleeve, at one point you're going to attach a sleeve to it, that shoulder that you took out of 1 inch, go ahead to replace it back to the pattern, and you can go ahead to blend in while cutting this out, and then you connect it back to the armhole this way. After you're done blending it at the side, the next step you're going to take is to start marking your measurement. At this point, I'll mark my bust circumference divided by 4. Now I'll just pick the dart I have at this point and I will replace, because I don't want to have too much dart on this gaping on this side, because one side of this dress is a tube dress. I'll also add my sewing allowance. Here I'll mark my under bust circumference divided by 4, measure the dart intake, replace, and add my sewing allowance. Here I'm going to mark my waist circumference divided by 4. So I'm actually marking my actual waistline because I'm not snatching this pattern. I'm actually making use of a zipper at the back. You can replace the dart intake and add your sewing allowance. Here, mark your hip circumference divided by 4, measure the dart intake you took out, and go ahead to add your sewing allowance. After you're done marking this, go ahead to place your ruler and you're going to connect, starting from the bust area to the under bust to the waistline and down to your blouse length this way. Now you can come up by 1.5 inches to 2.5 inches by the side. Now go ahead and connect this all the way to the blouse length. So this is what I have, and I'll go ahead to use my marker to outline this part of my pattern. After I'm done outlining, the next step is to mark my bust start. To get that is the distance between your shoulder to waist in front and your shoulder to waist at the back. My shoulder to waist in front is 17, my shoulder to waist at the back is 15.5 inches, and I'll go ahead to mark that 1.5, because if you take out 15.5 from 17, you have 1.5. So I'll go ahead to transfer all these measurements to the other side of my pattern. So after I'm done marking out, this is what I have on my pattern, and we are going to go ahead to alter this neckline. So from this side, I'll come in by 2.8 inches and I'll start reconnecting it to the other side of the neckline, which is about 3 inches by 3 inches. So one side is 2.8 inches by 3 inches, which is this side, and this side is 3 inches by 3 inches. So from this side of your neckline, you want to decide if you're going to mark 1.5 inches or 1 inch for this part. Now go ahead to blend this all the way, coming in towards the side, and make sure it hits the center. You can notice the center point of my pattern. So from the waistline, I will come down a little and also mark my bust point. Now at this bust point, I'll go up by 0.3 inches on both sides. I'll place my ruler and I'm going to connect it all the way down, and also connect at the other part, and this is what I have. So this is that tiny illusion neckline at the center. Now you can go ahead to cut this out when you're cutting out your pattern, and to fix this yoke, probably if you can't really fix it while you're sewing, the easiest way is after sewing you can place it at the back of your dress and you're going to go ahead to top stitch. So now I'll outline this part that I've already drawn out, meeting this part of my pattern. So from here, I'm going to go ahead to draw out my sweetheart neckline that I have on this point. I will come up by 1.5 inches. So this totally depends on what you want to use. You can use 2 inches here. For a busty person, you can use 2 inches to 2.5 or 3 inches. So I'll just go ahead to connect, and when you're connecting, make sure you blend up the dart and take it down to the sides of your pattern. The next step I'm going to take is to go ahead to label my pattern, and I will be cutting this out. So at this point, if you haven't yet subscribed, please don't forget to hit on the subscribe button. And if you also want to join us on our Bustier class, where we'll be learning how to take proper measurement for your bustier, how to draft out asymmetric bustiers, different type of bustiers, and the type of that you should use for your bustier patterns. And this class is just going for 1,500 naira, and is a 3 days detailed class. So after cutting out, we'll move over to the back pattern of my dress. Now the back pattern, I'm cutting it on fold and I'm using a zipper for this dress. At the neckline, I'll mark a basic neckline of 3 inches by 1.5. Now I'll go ahead to connect. Another thing I'll do is, remember, one side of the neckline of this dress is 2.8 inches. So I'll come in by 2.8 inches. When I'm marking, I'll cut out like 3 inches, and then when I'm marking the other side of the neckline, I'll now take out the excess. So my shoulder to waistline at the back is 15.5. Remember, that is why we used a bust dart at the front part of our pattern. The next step I'm going to take is to mark my darts, which I'll mark my nipple to nipple divided by 2 first. And any measurement you're taking is going to start after your zipper line. Now I will connect this all the way to the lower part of this pattern. And after I'm done marking, I'll be marking a basic dart intake of 1/2 inch on the waistline. Come down by 1 inch from the bust, and I will extend this dart all the way up and also mark at the other side. Now I'll go ahead to extend my dart to the lower part of this pattern. And after that, I'm going to insert my measurement. All your measurement is starting immediately after the line. So if for your zipper allowance, you can use 1.5 inches or 2 inches. And I forgot to also mention, For the blouse length at the lower part, you can add 5 inches after your waistline. At the bust, I went ahead to mark my bust circumference divided by 4, added my sewing allowance. At the waist, I marked my waist circumference divided by 4, measured the dart intake, replaced and added my sewing allowance. My bust circumference is 33, divided by 4, I have 8.3, while my waist measurement is 28, divided by 4, I have 7 inches. Now at the blouse length, you just mark your hip circumference divided by 4 and also add your sewing allowance. So go ahead and make use of any sewing allowance of your choice on this pattern. And now I'll just go ahead and connect my pattern. So by the side, I'll also come up just like we did for the front and place my pattern to connect. And after that, I'll go ahead to connect this to the lower part of my pattern. Now you want to get rid of any excess or bulginess at the zipper area, which I'll mark 1/2 inch, extend it all the way down and also take it up. So after drafting this, here is what I have on my pattern, and I'm going to go ahead to cut this out before altering the neckline of this pattern. Now you can replace whatever you took out at the zipper by the side. This is to prevent reducing your allowance. So I'll just go ahead and I will cut this out. After cutting this out, we can now go ahead to alter our pattern. So make sure you pin down your zipper allowance, and after pinning it down, you're going to open it this way. So you might make reference to your front pattern. So the shoulder you have at the front part of your pattern should also match that of the back. So that means the wrong side of your fabric should be facing each other this way. That is when you're cutting out your pattern. So this is just to show you clearly what your pattern is going to look like. You can also mark your chest line or the armhole area. Now I'll just take this out and then I'll go ahead to draft. So from this part, I'll mark 1.5 inches which we have on the shoulder, and at this part we'll increase the neckline, take out that 0.2 inches to make it 3 inches. So I'll lift up the zipper area and I will connect this way. So this part should also have a zipper area that will connect to the back pattern. So after this, I'll just go ahead to cut this out. So I did not really see the back pattern. This is what I'm just drafting from my own point of view, and I'll just go ahead to cut this out. So after I'm done cutting out, this is what I have. Go ahead to unpin your pattern. So join us in our next pattern drafting. Thanks.